This room was a great achievement for me because these particular engineers, both of the speakers and the electronics, are guys that I've been hounding to represent, and finally was able to attain it. These speakers are made by Mike Zivkovich. They're Teresonic Magus speakers. They're 100 dB sensitive, and they employ the DX65 silver Lowther driver. Probably one of the strongest magnets in any driver in production at 2.2 Gauss. When I first heard the description of the speaker, I thought there was absolutely no way that it could work in such a small cabinet, and it works, and it works quite beautifully. Part of that is because of the way Mike has designed the cabinet. It dissipates energy. It is ported on the bottom, but also it's built as an instrument, so it dissipates energy in the same way that an instrument might. Just a beautiful work of art. It also happens to be in the exact shape of the opera theater in Buenos Aires, which was a design spec. They love the acoustics of that hall, and it seems to work very well. And then in terms of the electronics, they're by a company called EMEA. Jeffrey Jackson and Dave Slagle have for a number of years been in demand in the arena of very high-priced custom orders for tube gear, analog gear cartridges, and so forth. And they've wanted to make some of what they do available to a wider audience. So they came up with the company EMEA, and they've put some things into production. What you're looking at there is a perma-alloy Type 50 single-ended triode amplifier. Normally the Type 50 would put out 4 watts. They've scaled it back to 2 to really keep it within its power limits, to really keep it long-lasting. And just recently, Emission Labs is now making a great Type 50 tube, so there's no concern in terms of retubes down the line. On the second shelf, you see their attenuator. Arthur Salvatore, the critic and writer of audio, has called it, well, he's listed it as the only type Class A attenuator of any kind. So he adores it, and this is the remote version. On the lower shelf there, you see those mercury tubes. That's part of the power supply for a strain gauge cartridge. Up until recently, not too many people have ever heard or even heard of a strain gauge. We think it's one of the finest cartridges ever conceived. We think the technology of a strain gauge is superior to an MC cartridge or moving iron or really anything to date that we've heard.
There's cartridge.
Yeah, that's the strain gauge right there. We are producing those in limited numbers. The strain gauge, which comes with its own preamp, as part of the technology it has to, you can run direct into your amplifier, and the cost of that will be $8,000. The Type 50 perma alloys are $15,000, and the attenuator in its manual form is $2,500, and the remote version is $3,500. I think when you have the opportunity to listen, you'll agree it's a very well priced, considering the level of musicality and what's available in the marketplace.
And what cables do we have in this system?
These are purpose-made cables by Mike Zivkovich. These are his Teresonic cables, loudspeaker cables, which match the alloys that he's using inside the speaker. The sheathing that you see is very similar, metallics, I think exactly the same as are used in MiG fighters, to keep out unwanted frequencies, keep things as pure as possible. The rest of the power and the RCAs are all by Paul Kaplan of Kaplan Cable in Brooklyn. We just have been adoring the sound of his cables and the sounds of his power solutions. It really doesn't get much better. One of the great things about the business is working with people that you've admired for a long time, and for me, EMEA, Dave Slagle and Jeffrey Jackson are certainly one of those companies, and Dave is here. Dave made this show possible, and so I'll hand it over to Dave, and he can tell you about what he does.
All right, well,
Okay.
this is a Gerard 301 grease bearing, early one in a Jazz Cons plinth. He was gracious enough to help us out with that. The arm is a Sig1. It's from New Zealand. James Grant makes it. AnalogInstruments.nz, I believe. It is a unipivot arm. It's reasonably priced, and it goes. Well, we were playing the Miyajima Shalabi yesterday. It's got a strain gauge, Panasonic vintage strain gauge on it today, going into a power supply that I designed and the silver autoformers, so it's silver wired inductive volume controls, and that just feeds a single-ended Type 50 amp. It's a very simple, clean, neat setup. We've got the Ordercraft controller down here, which powers the Gerard, and those are the Globe 50s from about 1929. It's sort of an old system, and you come down, you see the beautiful blue glow down here. I mean, that's just eye candy.
Yeah, very good. Well, it's very good to have the viewers meet you. And why don't you do the honors and drop the needle?
All right.
This is
Turn to cloud. All my colors turn to cloud.
In Montreal, the air is mild and soft. Walking in the evening sunset, my thoughts are floating by in this old soaping sky. A blessing that we all do share today, 'cause you
beautiful sound.
my mind is
Simply
cool
beautiful.
and calm.